Y'all know what time it is. It is the one and only In the Scope podcast with your boy Joshua M. Hicks, senior writer for WARR Media. You can follow me on Instagram and the Twitter at Josh M. Hicks Media. And I got another one of my homeboys on the show this go around, man. He's one of the real ones. He's newer. He's more on the newer sides of the WARR Media family, but he fits in like a glove. Gary Payton will be very proud. Will be very proud of him. But no, I had to get my boy on the show, man. Drew Stevens, my guy. How you doing, man? How's life?
Life is life. I can't complain too much, man. I can't complain too much. Don't nobody really care anyway, man. But it's always a pleasure to rap with you, man. I think it's my second time on, so I got to be doing something right. So I'm glad to be here with you, man.
Man, you're doing all the things right, man. That's why I had to bring you on. You part of the family, so I gotta bring it's all about family when it comes to me and my shows, man. So I had to bring you on, my brother, for sure. And we're just gonna jump right in because it's the Bulls. I mean, we could talk about Bulls all day long, and especially since I know you could talk Bulls all day. Your Twitter be going crazy with the Bulls stuff, so I know. I know you know what you be talking about, bro. So we just gonna jump right in, man. Bulls just beat the Cavs last night, and it was great to have Alex Caruso back. I think having him back, especially defensively, was such a huge boost for the Bulls. And it was a great win for them to get against a top 4 opponent in the East, which is what they struggled against, playing against top teams as a late in the stretch in these last 4 games. And you do it without Zach LaVine, which it's been reported that hopefully he'll be back as early as next Wednesday. We'll see. But to be able to get this type of win against the top 4 team in the East without your best player in Zach LaVine, I think is a huge testament to the Bulls and what they really can be capable of. From your eyes and your perspective, man, what did you see from watching or seeing from that game?
Just the effort was there. The defensive intensity was there. Those are a couple of things that have kind of been waning ever since the Golden State game last Friday on national television. Maybe a little bit of the Brooklyn Nets game toward the end. I think the Nets, when they went on that big run in the third quarter, you could argue maybe started there, or even within that 9-game winning streak that they went on, there were some things there that Billy Donovan pointed out that were concerning to him on the defensive side of the ball. But just to see how active they were, they took care of the ball, like just the little things that they were able to do yesterday. Offensive rebounding, getting to the line, hitting their free throws, not turning the ball over, turning the Cavaliers over, getting out on the break. And as you said, having Caruso there, even though he only played 23 minutes, he's on a minutes restriction right now. I think Donovan wanted to keep him between 22 and 24 minutes, ended up playing 23. I think just the fact of him being there, being on the bench, guys knowing that he's going to be in the game at some point in time, it's kind of like having your big brother back. You puff your chest out a little bit more when you got that guy behind you or beside you. So it's a good win. Finally got off the snide. Got another tough one coming up. Unfortunately, it's on national TV again, and the Bulls are I think 0-3 now on national TV with 3 blowouts, 2 with the Warriors and 1 for the Nets. So hopefully they at least bring that same effort and play like a team that's got that chip on their shoulder that has something to prove the way that they have the majority of the season.
Yeah, that's a good point with the next game coming up being on national TV. Like, I'm glad. It's crazy how we got into a point for especially in the early parts of the first part of the season. We was like, man, Bulls ain't getting no national television time. How dare they? Shame on the NBA. And then they get it and they flake. I'm like, come on, man. That's just not a good look. But like you said, they have another chance. They do have another chance. And they're playing against the defending champion Bucks. So it's gonna be personal for the Bucks because they're just defending champions, but personal for us because that's our version of a crosstown rivalry. And we've been having this rivalry for years. You get a chance now for the Bulls that are actually good in an era where actually both teams are really good. It's very, very common that it has happened. So for that to happen now, what do the Bulls need to do to secure this dub? You're not going to stop Giannis. You're not going to stop Giannis. Giannis is he's just a freak. That's why he's called the Greek Freak, right? But that two-headed these two sidekicks with Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton, they've been getting their feet more wet underway, and they've been balling too. So it's like, how can the Bulls utilize in their own way now the big two, because Zach LaVine is out? How do you utilize their big two to defeat Milwaukee's big three?
Again, I think it goes to what we saw last night against the Cavs. The Bulls, their margin for error is so much smaller now, with LaVine being out and Ball and Derrick Jones Jr., even Javonte Green, with those guys being out of the lineup. Those are key components of what they were doing to this point in the season. The reason why, they are atop of the Eastern Conference. But I think just, making sure that you're securing rebounds, finishing off defensive possessions, and not letting the Bucks take advantage of the team on the glass, taking care of the basketball, hitting jump shots, hitting your shots. 3-pointers will be big for them. Of course, DeMar DeRozan has been really, really consistent this season. There's only been a couple games where he's kind of been off from the field or from the free throw line, but just the little things. Hopefully they get another good shooting night from Vucevic. He's been up and down all year, but you just gotta tighten up, man. You gotta take care of the little things. Maybe you won't see as many leak outs just because it's going to be important to gain rebound against the Bucks. But just bring that effort, man. Just want to see the effort from them tomorrow night. Not a blowout. Hopefully not a blowout. Because you're not going to stop Giannis. It's not even really about that. It's just about, everybody that's in the game, especially the ones that aren't even guarding Giannis, having their antennas up and knowing where he is on the court at all times and doing their best to help him recover, to show, that they're going to come over and maybe help on whoever it is that is guarding him one-on-one. But yeah, man, just play with some effort. Take care of the ball, play smart basketball. Hopefully your shots are falling tomorrow night and take it from there.
Out of all you just said, which is great analysis, the biggest thing that pointed out to me was don't get blown out. Like, that's all I had. Don't get blown out. That's all I had. It's been blown out in all three of your nationally televised games. Just don't get blown out. Make it interesting. That's all I asked.
And it sucks though, because and with Patrick Williams' injury, you can argue that we've really never been whole. Well, actually, with Williams' injury and also with Kobe White's, because he came into the season injured. This team has never been whole. And that goes with the 3 games that we've seen them play nationally, with Vucevic being out that first Warriors game, Derrick Jones Jr. getting injured against the Nets, and then Ball and LaVine leaving at 2 separate occasions against the Warriors. So it's so disappointing to not be able to see, first of all, not be able to see the Bulls match up against a team that, for all intents and purposes, they're going to have to get through in order to, get to the Eastern Conference Finals, possibly the NBA championship. But then to also be not at full strength when the whole world is watching, when, like you said, Bulls fans, Bulls observers have been clamoring, complaining about the lack of national coverage, because who cares about NBA TV? So they need to bring some effort, man. I think if they just bring that, I think fans, maybe satisfied is not the right word, but no matter the outcome, if they just come out with that back against the wall mentality, we can't ask for much more.
That's true. And you mentioned the fact that even with the effort, when we're not even at full strength, we talked about how Zach LaVine, obviously he's out, but Lonzo Ball's now out for 4 to 6 weeks. And with that slight tear in his meniscus, is having surgery on. That's been reported today. With all of the stuff going on, you know, I had hope, especially at the beginning, because Lonzo Ball was okay. You know, Lonzo Ball to me is the guy that, even though you got Zach LaVine, who was high profile, DeMar DeRozan, high profile, Vooch, solid third option of your big three from offensive perspective. All those guys are great, but to me, Lonzo Ball is the engine that makes this team go. When you talk about fast breaks, setting up the offense, being able to facilitate from anywhere on the court, especially when it comes to Zach LaVine. That chemistry between him and Zach LaVine offensively is very dynamic. And to lose that, not just offensively, but also his defensive efforts around the perimeter, especially pairing him in the backcourt with Alex Caruso, that was a dynamic duo defensively that could easily give you, you know, all defensive team just with those two players on there in general. Now you lose that in Lonzo Ball on both ends of the floor. I'm not saying I'm worried, but what I am saying is I'm interested to see how this is going to go, because no matter who you could put at point guard, they will never fulfill ideally what Lonzo Ball really brings to the table. And honestly, what he's brought to the table in ways has kept this team afloat. So I'm a little worried. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little worried because it's like with him being gone 4 to 6 weeks, great. But from your perspective, talk about the impact of Lonzo Ball being gone now and how important it is, not just for guys like Alex Caruso to step up, but Ayo Dosunmu, who has done his job. Don't get it twisted. He's done his job. But now you might have to even top that. Especially when you talk about someone like Kobe White. Even though Kobe White has been doing good, you know, he has to elevate his game as well. And there have been stretches between his tenure here where he has gone hot and cold. So with those inconsistencies being a concern for me, along with Lonzo Ball being out, who's that guy that has to step up? Who has to be that guy?
Well, I think you kind of hit on it, man. It might not necessarily be just one guy. It's kind of been the tandem of Ayo Dosunmu and Kobe White that have stepped in as the starting backcourt with the last 3 games and have played terrific. Ayo, before last night, had back-to-back double-doubles. One was a points rebounds, one was a points assists. He's shooting unbelievably from the floor. Probably won't be able to sustain the level of efficiency that he's produced, but just the confidence that he's played with, his ability to kind of learn in the moment and make improvements on the fly, kind of like how we saw with Bradley Beal when Washington came to town and Beal gave him a little word of advice, and then the very next play or sometime after that, he hit Beal with the same thing he was trying to get him to do. So him and White have been great. You're not really necessarily, I don't think, looking for one person to step up and try to fill Lonzo Ball's shoes, because he has been that good of a player. He's taken the most threes on the team. I want to say at that volume, he's the best three-point shooter on the team. I think LaVine is right behind him percentage-wise, but I think it's completely reasonable for you to be worried, for anybody to be worried, because he's going to be gone. I think Rob Schaefer of NBC Sports Chicago said it was like 20-something games around in there that he could miss with the timeline that they've given him. But the fact that Dosunmu and White have played so well, the fact that Alex Caruso is back, it kind of lessens the blow that this injury would have caused to the Bulls. And not to mention, LaVine will be back, hopefully, like you said earlier, next Wednesday. So nobody can replace Ball, but they should be able to do enough to, you know, hold tight, maybe not the number 1 seed in the East, but enough where they're not going to sink too much while he's gone.
And alongside from Lonzo Ball being out, we already talked about all the different things that, you know, the Bulls are going through. But we also realized throughout this stretch, and for the most part, the whole part of the season so far, is the depth chart from a big man perspective is very thin. And they need to booster that big man position. There's a name floating around now, and Paul Millsap, whom you know me, I was in the beginning saying he should have came to the shot when he was a free agent. Obviously, chose Brooklyn, but now they're realizing that they agreed to, it's time to move on in different ways and find a better team that's suited for him. I doubt he's going to want to go to a team that, even though I don't know him personally, it's just a sense that since he chose the Nets at the beginning, you would think he's trying to go to a team where he can win a championship, right? Or at least have a good chance of making the finals. So Bulls need being number one team in the East. We do got some talent. We do need some help in the big man department. And even though he may not be the ideal fit, he still brings some versatility offensively, and he can play in small ball lineups, which is ideal for the Bulls because that's where their most success really comes from, is from small ball lineups. And it's necessary when you come into the playoffs, and you don't have to ask him to play a lot of minutes. He can be a good, solid big man in that second unit. And that can help keep the team kind of afloat from the point or paint perspective. So I think it's a low risk, high reward type of situation, especially since he's gonna obviously go for a dirt cheap contract and he signed a veteran minimum to go to the Brooklyn Nets. But knowing the Bulls, should they make that move? Should Acme, Arturas Karnisovas and Mark Eversley, should Acme really, be that aggressive and say, hey, Paul, I know you turned us down in the offseason, but you know what? We had some good talks and we're still serious about you. So come on over to the dark side and put on this black and red. Like, should they pull that trigger?
I think it's worth exploring. I don't know how the financials will work out, but I think it's worth exploring. I know that he struggled this season. I'm not sure that's him trying to adapt to a different role with a team that, didn't really have to lean on him as much, with LaMarcus Aldridge being there and Nick Claxton and Blake Griffin as well. Maybe he was kind of the odd man out, but as you said, like he's capable of providing different things that the Bulls could use. It's just a matter of, like I said, what the finances would be and how he would fit in to what the Bulls have going right now. I think he would fit well. I'm not sure if his struggles with the Nets were because he's reaching his sunset, or is it because of the role he was being asked to play? So I don't know, man. I'm not mad at. Like I said, I think they should look into it. I'm pretty sure they have, because the Bulls front office is very aggressive, and we've seen them get most of the guys that they are eyeballing. So we'll see.
You really said that real smooth. Maybe his struggles wasn't because the sun is setting on him yet. Like, smooth as heck. That's the writing poetry in it, man. That's really the journalistic vocabulary that you utilize there to make that thing flow in and out like that. Like, nice way of saying dude is old. I don't know what
I appreciate you saying. I think I'm just a nerd, but I appreciate you saying that, man. I had one of my guys call me the Hoop Shakespeare the other day. That was funny to hear, man.
Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that. Smooth as heck. I mess with that. But yeah, I think it's, like I said, like, I agree with you. It's a scenario where that I'm pretty sure the Bulls have probably even done their due diligence homework to do anyways. But not to mention, I think it's ideal for the Bulls if they can't get someone like him, someone similar to him in a buyout market, for me personally, because I like the talent that is currently here. And the fact that you were able to sign 10-day contract, you signed now full guarantee contracts to Malcolm Hill, who showed up, I think, great in that 10-day contract with especially a game against the Celtics that I was able to see. He played great.
Yeah, he took minutes from Troy Brown Jr. This first game with the Bulls. That's crazy.
Yep, he did. He was playing down the stretch in the clutch moments with Ayo by his side, so that Fighting Illini connection. Yep. And Alfonso McKinney, when he first signed on, was great, and he finally got that full contract for the rest of the season. I don't know. I mean, Arturas Karnisovas knows how to find some Chicago brothers. I mean, he knows how to find some Chicago, Illinois connections, man. And they work under Billy Donovan so far. So, for him to do that, I would want them to stay with the way the roster is currently set up. I think they will be beneficial, especially for the small stretch that we're going to have with guys slowly but surely coming back, and now that Lonzo Ball being out, I think they can hold the fort a little bit till we fully get healthy. Mm-hmm. And then you add a guy from the buyout market, but that's ideally for me a big man. That would be great. And I personally, even though his trade value has really gone up, I'm just not fully comfortable in trading Kobe White just yet because of how you see he's performing now, especially since he's having the minutes that he's in a way deserving of because of the way he's played, and now that Lonzo's been out. So, and also showing that putting him in the backcourt with Ayo, it works. We questioned at the beginning, where can Kobe White's minutes come from, because Ayo was looking over to take that spot. You see, if they play them on the same court together, the skill sets work. So I don't want to trade Kobe. I'm not one of those type of guys. I don't think the Bulls need to do any major moves, except maybe look into the buyout market to get someone for the cheap and bring them on. But do you think they need to make any big moves? Do you think they need to make any trades before this trade deadline hits? I mean, there's even reports now talking about potentially your boy Harrison Barnes might be, Sacramento is trying to get this deal done with Philly, and Morey's not folding, but if that deal was to happen, he's in the middle of it. I know you talked about Harrison Barnes potentially. I know when we talked, Robert Covington's the guy for me. I think they should look into if they were to actually pursue this. What should the Bulls do, General Manager Drew Stevens? What should the Bulls do to boost this roster before trade deadline?
I'm missing some millions of dollars for you to be calling me that. Last time I looked at my pockets, man, I wasn't qualified. Should they? I don't know if they should. I would like to see them, now that we've got timelines on Levine and Ball, and it doesn't seem to be anything season ending. I think that they would do well to see if they can get a Jeremy Grant or Harrison Barnes, two players who at this stage, to all my Patrick Williams lovers out there, are ahead of Patrick Williams. That's not to say that Pat can't turn out to be as good as we all, or most of us think he can be, but with the way that the Bulls have played this season, with the momentum that they have, and given who they would have to beat to get to Eastern Conference Finals, to get to the NBA championship, I just think that you have to explore bringing in a guy who is already ahead of Patrick Williams, and maybe even in Jeremy Grant, a guy that is higher than what Pat's, fully realized version could actually be. We don't know if Pat's going to be better than Jeremy Grant or as good as Jeremy Grant. And for all of the flack that Harrison Barnes got during the one Warriors finals when he just could not hit a shot. Like, this dude is playing phenomenal basketball right now. He's a high IQ player. He's not the defender that Grant is, or the athlete, but he can fit in so well with this team. I think he fits in as well offensively as Grant would defensively. Now, there's been reports that Grant doesn't want to go to a team where he won't be the number one option. If that's true, then that pretty much takes him off the board for the Bulls. But I think that the front office should at least, they owe it to themselves, they owe it to the Bulls, given how much they've done to this point and how aggressive they've been in trying to win now, that it would make sense for them to look and see what they can do to add to this team. Another scenario that I saw, not officially, but I heard floated out there, depending on if the Clippers are sellers, whether or not Kawhi Leonard and Paul George come back this season, is possibly like a Nick Batum and I want to say it's Marcus Morris. I get the Twins mixed up. I think it's to them coming to the Bulls in a package for Derrick Jones Jr., Troy Brown Jr., and the Portland pick. I like that too, because you're not giving up Pat, and you're getting two veteran guys who can defend, who can rebound. They're tough. They can knock down the three when need to, and you get to keep Pat, like as I said. So I don't know how much truth there is with that. Remains to be seen what the Clippers want to do moving forward. Because I thought there were some rumblings that Kawhi might come back at some point this season, but I wouldn't mind them swinging for the fences. But I'd understand if they wanted to hold on to Patrick Williams. We've already heard them say that they're not looking to trade Kobe White. And to your point, his value has skyrocketed, and he provides something off that bench that nobody else can. You know, for as well as Ayo Dosunmu's playing, Kobe White's got 3 years of experience on him. Can create his own shot at a better than Dosunmu can at this point. You described him as a microwave scorer. That's what he is, and the Bulls need that coming off that bench, I think. So we'll see what goes on. But if I was connoisseurs, I'd be on the phones just looking, just seeing what's available, what's out there floating out. Patrick Williams and seeing what comes back.
I will admit that Marcus Morris, Nicholas Batum deal, it does sound pretty decent, and right. At least from and because of the toughness component of it to me, like that's where it really gets me, because Marcus Morris in the perimeter, when you go deep into the playoffs, let's just say we run into the Bucks, you don't need a Marcus Morris to guard a Chris Middleton or a Drew Holiday type of player, or depending on the paint, Giannis, someone that's has some meat and toughness to him. Yeah. Like PJ Tucker did with Kevin Durant. He could be the PJ Tucker of that team defensively for the Bulls. And you already have, and then you can have and utilize Nicholas Batum from a perimeter perspective defensively. Having that length next to Zach LaVine and DeRozan, or that's nasty to think about. So I would not be mad at that deal if that was to take place, especially you talking about right now. It's not a bad deal I would look into, but like I said, we'll see what the Bulls do. Like you said, I'm pretty sure Acme is just making all the calls, doing his research silently, making silent moves. G's moving in silence like lasagna. He got that all down pat. Like we know he can, and he does. So I'm pretty sure that's what's going to be the case. And those surprises if something it goes down, but for the most part, we're about to finish now. Well, we're heading into the end of the first half of the season, or about halfway through the season, I think. We got a little bit, and we have a little bit before All-Star break kicks in. Yep. All-Star weekend is in Cleveland. Sorry, Bron. Love you, Bron. But it's in Cleveland, and I will admit, even though we already know there's some Bulls is going to be there. Looks like DeMar DeRozan is going to be there. He's leading the guards, Eastern guards right now. Looks like Zach LaVine's going to be there. He's number 3 on the list. Mm-hmm. I don't know about Vooch per se. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know. We'll see. But veering off from the Bulls topic and more towards the NBA realm, there's one person that I do believe should be an All-Star that is not getting the votes that they deserve, and that is Cleveland's own Darius Garland. You got to put Darius Garland in that conversation. What he's doing with the Cleveland Cavaliers, helping them become a number 4 team in the East. And he's doing it without they're doing this without Colin Sexton. He's out for the year, so they're doing it without Colin Sexton, the potential rookie of the year, and Evan Mobley. And you got your young All-Star and Jared Allen killing it this year. And I'm not even gonna lie, even Laurie Marketing doing a little something over there. I'm like, okay, but yeah, Darius Garland, bro. He should be in the All-Star. He should be an All-Star. I think he's in the bottom tier of votes right now from a fan's perspective. And yeah, he may not be the most flashy guy per se, or he might have done a lot of flashy things. But the brother's skill set is impeccable. It's top tier. And it's clearly doing wonders for this Cleveland Cavaliers team, because they're sitting as a top 4 team in the East, which we never thought would happen. heading into this season. So I would like to get your viewpoint as far as him, his skill set, his game, what he brings to the game, and who do you specifically think deserves to be in an all-star game or should be higher in all-star voting that is not getting the votes that they deserve right now?
Man, I haven't watched too much of Cleveland basketball, to be honest with you, man. It's really been Bulls or bust, but you make great points about Darius Garland kind of taking over, steering that ship with Sexton being out. I think that he got his numbers yesterday, but he didn't shoot very well from the field. He kind of had that scary moment where like he got a stinger or almost. I'm like, man, he dislocated his shoulder on one of those plays, but he came back in the game. Thankfully for Cavs and basketball fans alike, was able to finish the game out. But I think him and Jared Allen both have cases to be all-stars this season. It's kind of weird that the NBA is still keeping it at 12 players each conference when a regular season roster is comprised of 15 players, 15 slots. I don't know. Maybe they're trying to make it so that it means a little bit more.
Nah, they're just not trying to pay for all them flights. They're not trying to pay all them flights and all the publicity and all the. It's too much money. All-Star Week is already big enough. That's why they left Chicago and went to Cleveland because they ain't gonna. It's cheaper. It's cheaper.
No doubt. But I think to me the thing I was kind of looking at before Zach got injured is who's more deserving of that second. Let me get this cat down real quick. Not you. You ain't gonna be in an All-Star game. I'm being somebody pound in a second. Who is more deserving of that other guard slot between Zach LaVine and Trae Young? That was something I was kind of paying attention to before Zach went down. I think there's a great case to be made for both guys because Zach's numbers are very close to DeRozan's. It's just that DeRozan has been such a force in these fourth quarters, hit those 2 game winners on back-to-back nights that he's gotten more of the shine, more of the pub. But with Zach going down and Trae Young continuing to kind of ball out, even with the Hawks, seemingly like stuck in the mud right now, I can see he's probably going to keep that spot. But LaVine will be a reserve. Who else are you thinking of as a reserve?
From an Eastern Conference perspective, I don't really know. Haven't really thought about it. I do know from the Western Conference though, D Book should get more consideration. Yeah. D Book he should be, and he should be in that All-Star conversation. It should be getting an All-Star conversation. And I think what gets me the most with this, obviously, this is fan voting. So, okay, great. That the fans are involved, but come on now, not all fans know what basketball is one-on-one, and they just don't know. And
there's a lot of popularity. I think Kyrie and Derrick Rose are really high up in the voting.
Yeah, and I'm like, no disrespect to Kyrie, but you didn't even play you didn't even play half a season. D Rose, I love you, my brother. You're always gonna be like a goat in my eyes, for real. But come on now, you missing 8 weeks due to the ankle surgery. Come on, like I said, like you're missing large amounts of time, but you haven't played too much minutes. So it's like, it's not compared to other people that have been killing in areas where there's not much recognition, but they still deserve it. I mean, even Devin Booker, I'm surprised that the league, well, not the league overall, but fans in general don't give the respect he deserves. My man just went to the finals last year and balled. He just balled and went to the finals last year. And now you're saying that he shouldn't be considered an all-star, even though he's having an all-star year? Like, those types of things where I'm like, can we just get this over with? Because, as much as I love the fans and I'm a fan of the game as well, but if you really know basketball 101, analytics don't get you nowhere. It is the eye test and we're knowledge of the game. And if you just watch from the knowledge of the game, the skill set, along with the numbers that go with it, man, D Book should be in that conversation. He should be an all-star.
Yeah. To get back to your original question, I got some names sort of in the Eastern Conference wise, in terms of being considered for one of those reserve slots. I think Kyle Kuzma has played well enough to be in that conversation. Fred VanVleet,
Mm-hmm.
maybe Evan Mobley, maybe. I know he missed a little bit of time early this season, but he seems like he's running away with the Rookie of the Year award.
Yeah, he is. He taking that. He's taking that.
He got a late start. Scotty Barnes and the Raptors are barely hanging on to that 10th spot right now. So I think in that respect, yeah, I think Evan Mobley's got that pretty much sealed and locked up, man.
Yeah.
Tobias Harris, another name maybe. Supposedly that's the name that's the guy that's keeping Morey from pulling the trigger on that deal, which is, I don't know. You're getting Fox back and Halliburton and Barnes. I don't know, man. I think you'd be okay giving away Tobias Harris.
Yeah, I mean,
getting back.
Yeah, I mean, but in that deal too, this is Daryl Morey we talk about. He wants an all-star / superstar because you're giving up Ben Simmons. But hey, you gotta, when you look at it this way, sometimes it's not about necessarily what you give up, it's what you can get that fits the chemistry of the team. And you talking about, Tyrese Halliburton, who, he's killing it. Point guard, like young point guard of your future, solidified. Boom. Got Harrison Barnes with the veteran. He can replace Tobias Harris. Easy. Then you're talking about Buddy Hield, a shooter put him in the backcourt of shooting right next to Seth Curry. Come on, Daryl. I need you to think this one out. Like, you've gone to crazy.
Wait, was the Aaron Fox in the deal? He wasn't in the deal.
No, he wasn't in the deal.
Oh, he wasn't in the deal. Okay. I had that mixed up. My bad. Okay, that's still
right.
That changes my perspective a little bit because you're not getting like that one really shiny piece that would have been De'Aaron Fox. No disrespect to Hield and Barnes and Halliburton, but okay, I kind of see what Morey may be thinking there. But on the flip side of that, you're not getting nothing from Ben Simmons as it is, and you're not going to get anything as it is. So I wonder at what point you just go with what's the best deal you got on the table.
Right, and I think that's the best deal at this point. Because, I mean, even if you don't get De'Aaron Fox, you already got Tyrese Maxey there.
That's true. That's a very good point.
And you already know his skill set and what he brings to the table, especially under Doc Rivers. Talking about keeping Doc Rivers long term. All those guys are going to fit in Doc Rivers' system. And I think they have a better chance moving forward once those pieces get more solidified if they were to pull this trade come playoff time to be even that much more scarier than they are now. So I don't know. Like, I'm over here looking at Daryl like, bro, I know you big time over there, but come on now. You may have to step it down just a tad bit because that's still a heck of a package, especially for a team that's in rebuilding mode. I mean,
no doubt. And to kind of connect this back to the Bulls, Philadelphia as is one of those teams that kind of worry me as a Bulls observer if the Bulls had to match up with them just because of Embiid, the defenders they have to throw at DeMar and Zach, Steph, the shooters they have, Korkmaz, like they've got a really solid team over there, and depending on who they would have to give up in that deal, you're getting those guys back from the Kings, man. That makes your team, like you said, even more dangerous. It's gonna be interesting to see how this plays out this next 3 weeks before this trade deadline.
Yeah, man, we'll definitely see how it goes, and hopefully the Bulls. I trust Acme to do and make the right moves that they need to make. They've done enough to have my faith in them, so I'm gonna trust that they know what they're doing, and Billy Donovan knows what he's doing. And they're going to do what they got to do to make sure they put the Bulls in the best position to continue to be a top 3-4 team in the East, where there's no play-in tournament and they can go deep into the playoffs. So that being said, man, what you got coming up, man? I know you all got some up your sleeve. So what you got coming up?
I don't have anything right now, man. I would just tell people to look out for me on Twitter at Look What Drew Did. That's my handle on there. I try to tweet little random things that interest me in terms of stats or just little known things or going back and kind of looking at some interesting tidbits, man. I just kind of tweet those out when I come across them, man. But yeah, just follow me on Twitter, man. Follow me on Twitter. Get at me. Let's talk. Let's have a conversation, man.
Hey, y'all definitely should. My man is so precise with his stat lines. He will give you the stats from when Lonzo Ball had an afro to when Lonzo Ball had the braids. Like he will give it. He'll break it down to you just off of hairstyles, and that's something that's different right there. So. Talking about look what Drew did. That's what Drew did. He broke you down through hairstyles.
Man, that's fun, man. Speaking of that, I need a dude to come back. I'm gonna miss that, man. I'm gonna have a long pause in my stats now.
Maybe we can do it from when Alex Caruso has a headband and he doesn't. I don't know. Like maybe we can do something like that. Or when DeMar DeRozan wears Nikes versus some random Nike shoe versus when he wears Kobe's. I mean, I don't know. We could do.
I don't know. DeMar's shoe game is something ridiculous, man.
Yeah. So I don't know. No, but it is something to look forward to, and it's very appeasing to not just the audience, but us in general. And so definitely gonna look out for what Drew is going to be doing with that. And everybody else, you can look at what I'm doing at Josh M. Hicks Media, Instagram and Twitter. And you can follow WARR Media on all platforms. WARR Media, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. You can follow this show on the YouTube as well as this podcast on all podcast platforms. We're on Anchor. You name it, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcast at, we are right there. My guy, I appreciate you, man. I'm glad you were able to come on my show and spit bulls and NBA talk with me. We gotta link up soon because we got a lot of big stuff coming, our way for the audience perspective. We got a lot of big things coming. So definitely gotta link up with you again soon. And in the meantime, you take care of yourself, do what you gotta do. And I look forward to seeing when is the next time Lonzo Ball or some other special guy. Maybe we can have the hairstyle change. I'll see your stats for that.
No doubt, man. I appreciate you having me on, man. Always a pleasure, man.
Sure, man. Be easy.
You too, man.